Hey everybody, just getting everybody logged on. Hello, hello. Admit all, admit all. Happy Wednesday, everybody. If somebody let me know you can hear me and we'll be good. Maybe I should close this part. Oh, there's more people coming. Hello, hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Yay! I'm glad. It's Independence Day weekend, right? Right? We're all going with it's Independence Day weekend. Okay. Hi, everybody. I have arrived. I'm on here now. Great. Let's tighten that up so we're not falling down all over the place. Just getting everybody logged in. Hello, Chris. Hi, everybody. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Got on my red, white, and blue today, trying to be in the spirit. Happy birthday, Val. Here, I'll turn my hat around just for you, okay, Val? Nobody saw that, right? Hey, red, white, and blue, right? Hey, happy Independence Day. I know, I know. Hey, hot dogs are good. It's the American holiday things, 4th of July and hot dogs, right? Oh, here comes all your birthday wishes, Val. Look at that. You're spoiled. All right, just letting everybody get logged on. I know we got things everybody wants to talk about. I am back from vacation, so I am here local if anybody needs me. I don't know how long I'll be here local because I'm telling you, those mountains are a pretty nice place and I don't mind going back. I also have to show everybody what happened to Blue. I know I'm talking about you. You can come up on the couch and say hello in a little bit, okay? No snoring yet. All right. Um, we're gonna see some changes going on. We're trying to fast track you guys to the assembly bills, Senate bills, and able to contact your congressman a little bit easier through our Instagram account on Widget's Way. And we're working on some new articles that are going to be coming out. So you guys will have access to that and some new blogs coming out right on the website. So hopefully you find that extremely helpful. The team is diligently working on it and trying to get that all together. Could we talk about the new laws taking effect on July 1st? Which ones do you want to talk about? Because we could talk about them till you're blue in the face. You just tell me which ones you have concerns with. And I would be more than happy to address them. I also got a phone call this morning, and I think this is a really important thing that we need to know, especially if we're managing. But Belsi wants to talk about security deposits. Okay, we could do that. But something everybody needs to know in LARSO, LARSO, okay? If you have property in that area and you're paying the utilities, okay, there's certain utilities, if you pay, you can ask for a higher rent increase, okay? Also, if the utilities aren't feasible for you in that direction, you do have the capability of switching it over to the RUBS system after their 1-year lease expires. Wait, what, Patty? What? Let me say it in a different way. Hey, landlords in Larso that's paying the water bill. And I'm just giving you one example, okay? Landlords in Larso paying the water bill on more than one residential dwelling, a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, an eightplex. You're sick of paying the water bill, you can use something called the RUBS system, ratio utility billing system. basically, is a lack of a better way to describe it to you. If you have a 10-unit complex, you divide the water bill by 11 units because the owner needs to pay for common area, landscaping. Okay, you need to have that. You would divide it by 11 if you had a 10-unit complex, and each unit would be responsible for a portion of the bill. Patty, why are you telling this to us? Because if we can help limit landlords' expenses, it helps all of us. Okay? Hang on, because I see two of our key players just wanted to talk about information. Let's see. Chris has first. The bill that is currently at the state Senate, Chris has the information there. It sucks that 3-day notices would have been offered in multiple languages, Korean, Chinese, and Tagalog. Call the California State Committee on the Judiciary members and tell them to oppose the language elements. So Chris is telling us, pay attention, you guys, or we have to offer 3-day notices in other languages, multiple languages. So that's how you fight it. Click on that link. That will tell you where you need to go and what we can do. Oh, and Arlene's throwing in her 2 cents, my little Larso genius over there. You can also include the exterminator, the gardener, and alarm systems using Livable's way of doing it. So Livable is a company that helps you figure out what your ratio that you're billing to the tenant's going to be. Livable offers a great service. So if you have a multifamily dwelling in Larso, Livable does a great job helping you recover some of your expenses. Alarm system, gardener, exterminators. These are all things that you can put in there and help offset those expenses to the owner. Okay?
But Patty,
Yes.
with them, you can start on day 1 of your lease with Larsa.
Yes, and if you are currently in a position where you're paying those utilities, you need to wait until your 1-year lease expires and it transitions into a month-to-month before you make the changes. But it's a great time for you to introduce the RUP system to offset your expenses.
But I thought with my old tenants that have been here for years, I can't do that.
I believe that you can do it through Larso, through the RUB system. Mona has a plan of action from AGLA.
All right, I'll talk to Mona because I haven't been charging him.
There you go. Mona found it.
Okay, great. I'll call her. Thanks.
No worries. Teamwork, teamwork. Okay, Belsie, you want to talk about the new security deposit law? I'll keep it simple. You got to have pictures. What pictures do you got to have? You have to have pictures that move in, pictures that move out, and pictures after the work was done. How this can be a problem for those of us that manage property is, you know how during the tenancy, I'm going to give an example. Tenant breaks a window and we're going to charge it back to the tenant and they say, oh, take it out of my deposit. You better make sure you have photos of the damage and after it was corrected. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to deduct it from the security deposit. They're now requiring that we have photographs. Okay. So for some of us that have been taking photos of everything, keep up that behavior. I want to make it easier for you. So help me make it easier for you. Okay. When we take a photo of a property, we tend to take hundreds of photos. We should all just unmute ourselves and sing happy birthday at the same time. Hold on, I gotta go backwards. We all take photographs at properties. And for those of us back in the day using the Sony CyberShot, we used to take hundreds of photos. Of a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, we would take 300 photos. No joke. Okay? Newsflash, yoo-hoo. You guys paying attention? Okay? You know, our iPhones that we use, our smartphones are pretty damn smart. Not only do they have a date, they also have a GPS location. I'm letting people in and we want these people, trust me. The photos are date stamped if you use your smartphone. It gives all that information in the details so you can fish it out if you need it. Okay? But my point is when you take a picture now with the pixels and technology and how great cell phone cameras have gotten, we can stand back as far as we can and take one picture, and then we can zoom in on the detail that we need, and it's in such good clarity it doesn't distort it, if you will. We can zoom in on areas that we need and pull the information from there also. So take note, yes, photos are important. You need them at hello, at there's a problem, and after the repair is done. Okay, we got to prove. They basically want us to prove the extent of the damage of the photos and that it was fixed. Okay. So that's the big one regarding security deposits. If you don't have photos, then you're not going to be able to charge them at goodbye. And a lot of us want to take something out of the deposit once they vacate. You got to make sure you're documenting those repairs also. Small triplex in Kern. Tenant put a tiny plastic Walmart pool out. I pay for water. I haven't researched rubs, though I would love to divide the water bill. But while I don't mind the tiny pool this summer, hang on. Someone is trying to call me. You can't call me while I'm in a Zoom meeting. You can't call me while I'm in a Zoom meeting. It doesn't work well. Okay, hang on. I gotta rewind my brain. Small triplex in Kern. Tenant put in a tiny plastic Walmart pool. I pay for water. I don't mind the pool. But what can I do to make the tenant share the bill? You can implement the RUB system and divide the water bill. Basically, that what it does is it divides it by the units. And they're going to argue, they have more people than I do. They have more this. The RUB system helps you figure that out. CAA has information in regards to RUBs. So look it up, Val. If you still have questions, let me know. I have a bigger thing with you on your swimming pool. Okay. And everybody listen, because this is extremely helpful to us when we have a problem on a property. What are the two most common things that cause problems regarding personal injury at a rental property? Swimming pools and trampolines. Okay. Insurance companies have deemed them with being called an attractive nuisance. So, for future reference, if they put up a doughboy pool, an attractive nuisance, it's Val's birthday, everybody. Val's birthday. Yay, happy birthday to Val. That's why all these little messages are coming up, okay? Just so the people that I'm just letting in, like David, I know you joined us a little later. It's Val's birthday. Just so you know. Just so you're not left in the dark.
Happy birthday, Val.
See here. I told you, Val. Here they all come. Isn't it nice to be loved? RUB stands for utility. Yeah, we got it. Thank you. Ratio Utility Billing System is what RUB stands for. And it's basically a way to offset the expenses from the landlord. Look at it this way. If you have a 10-unit apartment complex and you get one water bill for $1,500, the landlord has to eat that one water bill for $1,500, right? No, not necessarily. We can use something called the Ratio Utility Billing System and take that water bill and divide it amongst the 10 tenants, but we want to do 11 tenants, adding one for the landlord. So they're covering the common area, the laundry facility, whatever it may be. Okay. So there's the justification behind the RUB system. It helps offset costs for landlords. We don't want to be paying that ridiculous water bill. It's a way for us to pass that through to the tenants. Okay. And RUBS is able to do within the state of California. And yes, Mona over at AGLA has a way to implement that in Larceau. So we need to chit chat with her. Okay. All right. Let me go back and see what else we're talking about. Oh, thank you. It's next week. We still love you, Val. There was something else I wanted to talk to you about regarding the swimming pool and the trampoline. For those of us that deal with tenants that bring swimming pools, doughboys, this is the season for that, and also trampolines. They are an attractive nuisance and not allowed by the owner's insurance. So you can ask them to remove the attractive nuisance, okay? Because if somebody drowns in that pool, it's the owner's responsibility. Happened on the owner's property. Because trampolines tend to cause, I was going to say cause a lot of injuries or make a lot of money for physicians. It all depends on how you look at it. I know an orthopedic surgeon that says he makes his most money off of trampolines. Damn. My daughter broke her leg on a trampoline she owned for 5 years. It happens. I will say this, though. The amount of casts that I see on the younger generation in today's society is sickening because there aren't any. Yeah, wrap your head around that. How many casts do you see when you go to the grocery store or the fair? How many kids do you see walking around with their arm in a cast or their leg in a cast? We're just not seeing it, and that's sad. Instead, they're having injuries that are psychological and mental from the cyberbullying. This is a question for Chris. Can I hear his out of state horror story if he doesn't mind sharing? Is the property owner responsible for relocating tenants during a mandatory evacuation order in Riverside County? No, hold on a minute. And that might be one for Chris, because how I understand it is if you're getting evacuated for fire, and let's say you're evacuated for 5 days, that's a natural disaster at no fault of the owner, and the owner should be giving them their rent credit because they couldn't occupy the home, even though this is at no fault of the owner.
Shouldn't their renters cover that?
In my opinion, yes, because they're being an emergency evacuated. I know because I had renters insurance during the Big Bear fires way back. You know, the old fire back in 94, I think no, it wasn't that far ago. It was sooner than that. It was the old fire, and all of Big Bear got evacuated, and I lived up there. My insurance company paid for me to stay at a hotel near the beach because that's where I felt safest. Yes, I stayed in a oceanfront condo in Laguna. I did it. I'm that person. They also paid for my meals while I was put out, and I bought a new comforter set for the bed. The way the insurance company looked at it is I needed a blanket while I was put out of my home. So they covered that. They paid for clothes for the kids. It was great. They cover. So definitely something your insurance company covers. As far as us, in my professional opinion, it is an act of God, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. It is at no fault of the owner. I, as being business in good faith, would give them their per diem back because they weren't staying in my house. They couldn't. There was a mandate from a municipality evacuating them. But I don't necessarily think that I would be paying to put them in a hotel. If they lived there and they weren't the tenant, this was happening to everybody in the whole neighborhood, not just the people in my unit. Bilsey, I hope that answers a question. Their renter's insurance should pay for them to go to a hotel, but I would refund their rent as the landlord. Chris, do you have an opinion about this?
I'm just going to remain silent on it because I don't feel comfortable discussing something in another county.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So the owner will have to refund the tenant for those days.
Well, think about it this way. Think about it this way, Bilsey, okay? If we lived in a mansion in Beverly Hills, because we could live anywhere, and there was a fire and the whole city got evacuated because of the fire, it's not fair for, I see that we can't be there. I get that. But it's not fair for me to ask the owner to put me in a hotel. That's where my renter's insurance should cover because I'm being displaced from my home. But I also don't feel that the owner should charge me for rent during that time period because I couldn't be there. And that's me being transparent. What the legality is in that, I'm not sure. Because it all depends on what the verbiage in your lease contract says. Because there is specific language in the back of your lease that talks about if the landlord can't provide a habitable dwelling.
Got it. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Patty.
Perfect. Pest control. A tenant in Kern just complained about bugs. He could not identify the critter, though he was pretty sure it wasn't bed bugs. He said silverfish, ant, earwigs, but said he was clean, but felt bugs constantly. Do I pay for an exterminator and expansion? I suppose so, but I'm wondering if he also sees dead people. Well, we have a responsibility to remedy upon notification. Okay? Bugs, pests, they're all considered vermin in the eyes of the court. So with that said, I think I'd send an exterminator out there to do an inspection and see if there's a heavy infestation of something, or if it's just a bug that's indigenous to the area. And yeah, I mean, he could be on some kind of, he could have his brain altered, whether it be from drugs, chemicals, or mental disability. What if you go there and it's full of flying termites? Oh, just saying. And then he's not crazy anymore, right?
Just wanted to give you quick feedback, guys. I used that exterminator that Patty had mentioned recently.
Akela?
Akela, yeah.
Yeah.
They were great. Came out responsive, worked with my time, on time, nice, got the report. So, and I also had good luck with Ryan at Homewell. He was thousands less than other people.
Wow, that's awesome. If
Yes,
you
I
guys
just want to
need,
say thank you.
if you need Ryan at Homewell, tell him you're a member of Widget's Way. Do that for everything you guys do. And if they say, what's Widget's Way, then let's get us a good vendor and we can all use them. You know what I mean? Let me talk to him. Maybe it's a vendor that doesn't know anything about how they could get involved with AGLA or get involved with something else, you know? Maybe we can help them and they can all help us, and it would be a great relationship. I am having trouble with handymen or workmen in Sherman Oaks and LA area. So if anybody has a handyman or a workman in LA City and or Sherman Oaks area, please put that in the chat and let's help each other out as much as we can. I'm eating my lunch, sorry. It is lunchtime, right? I can't help it. I had so much fun at my sister's house. I bought cookies at the bakery. You guys have no idea. That bakery is so good up there. They make a croissant in the morning, a fresh croissant, and inside it is spinach and artichoke hearts and feta cheese, and oh, it's yummy. It's heavenly. And then they have a smokehouse where they do a lot of smoked meats. You should see their beef jerky counter. Look it up. It's called Mahogany Meats. It's in Bishop. Look it up. When you see the deli counter full of beef jerky flavors, you'll laugh at me. But it is heaven. Absolute heaven. All right. We have more things we want to talk about. I have things I want to talk about. I think I wrote them down. I still have people asking me the same question regarding ADUs. Okay. Everybody gets an idea to put an ADU on a property. The ADU is exempt from rent control for 15 years, but the house that's been sitting there has it immediately. Don't forget that, okay? I see a lot of questions in that area regarding ADUs and where it gets tricky. And I think I'm going to actually write an article on that and have AGLA publish that for us so that we're spreading that news like wildfire because it's the one thing people just aren't telling us about when they're selling us the concept of the ADU. They just don't talk about how that affects us immediately. And then again, 15 years down the road.
Patty, can I ask you a question about that?
No.
I can't believe I set myself up for that.
Hey, you got to remember the first answer you get from Patty 90% of the time is sarcasm, okay?
So when my husband and I bought our property in LA in 2019, we bought a single family home with a just completed ADU, both vacant. And immediately the single family home, I mean, the city considered it multifamily. The single,
It is multifamily.
right. Okay. Cause I've always been like, did I buy into something that,
Yep.
okay. I just want to make sure it's always been multifamily, that I haven't been being overcharged by the city. And then only recently the ADU fell under the what do you call it? The
Just cause.
just cause, right? Yeah.
And then once it's 15 years and 1 day old on the certificate of occupancy, it will be subject to rent control.
Okay. Just like the single family house.
Bingo. And now you have a multifamily dwelling.
Right. Right.
You had a multifamily dwelling the second the certificate of occupancy was issued on the ADU,
Right. Okay.
even though it's a single family home, because there's 2 units on 1 tax bill.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't being overcharged.
I got a question for you, Holly.
Uh-oh. Uh-huh.
Did your agent disclose this to you when they sold you the property?
They did not. They didn't know anything about it. I mean, we got a good deal on it. I will say that. We got a great deal, even though right now I have the world's worst tenant, which you're aware of. But they did not. But I had done my due diligence after we bought it and discovered, we better, get in line with Larso and all that.
Okay, for all the licensed real estate agents that are listening to what's unfolding in the conversation between her and I, do you see where your asset is exposed because of failure to disclose?
Patty, I have a question. If
Yes.
you have a single family that's zoned R1, can you still put an ADU on there?
That's up to the city to answer, not to me to answer. But from what I understand, cities are encouraging it.
Okay, now, so let's say you have an R1, you have a single family, you put an ADU on. 20 years from now, you want to knock it down and build one big single family. Can you, or is it now considered multifamily and you can't go back to a single?
These are all questions that I would be asking the building department within that city, with the understanding that the wind could blow at any time and change
Right.
the rules on you.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Chris, I hate to use your analogy, but we were talking about something in legislation, and it's like the wind's always blowing. If it's not blowing in this direction, it's blowing in that direction. If it's not pulling you this way, it's putting dirt in your eye over here. And over here, it's so windy, it's almost a tornado. And then it shifts and the tornado goes further. And now the tornado's in the medical field coming at us, it's consistently challenging. So that is what you need to remember. But for the most part, my point being to all agents and brokers out there, please listen up, is if you're in a sales transaction, you need to disclose that the entire state of California is now subject to rent control. And when the buyer says, what are you talking about? Well, it depends on how you hold title. That single family home you're buying right now could be subject to rent control because you want to hold title in your corporation. We have to disclose. Okay. And Chris wants to talk to all of us. So I'm going to shut up for a hot minute and I'm going to give you the floor for 5 minutes, Chris. 5.
I
Maybe
don't
6.
I don't think I need 5 minutes, but thanks.
Hey, you might have questions.
If you're tired of what Patty calls bureaucracy and bullshit, I call like regulatory overreach and Marxism? Question mark. We need to reform some of the stuff in California. And one of those action items is actually, I'm gonna put it in the chat. There is a movement to make voter ID be the law in California so we can ensure the integrity of our election process. Because right now it's being manipulated. And that's part of why we're getting the same kind of people who have values that are unfortunately on housing for the most part, opposed to ours. And they seem to almost never take the landlord side, um, locally at the state level, etc. It's always one-sided. They always only look at every additional regulatory requirement in isolation instead of the full context of trying to understand. I mean, I myself, every time I go to the housing department, I seem to learn new stuff. When I try and find the source of the authority, say in an LA City ordinance, I cannot find where requirements are coming from that the housing department puts out. Um, so I think we really do need to kind of stand up and, in addition to perhaps supporting AGLA's candidate pack and also the issues pack, which I think are two different packs. Those are political action committees. They're kind of good ways to get politicians elected that are going to be more friendly to our interests. And it really does matter. Like in LA City, the stuff when I followed it, Park and Lee both have been very kind of, on our side and at least moderate, not all the way to the other side. Not falling for every housing rights argument, listening to landlords, coming to like equitable positions that are fair. But right now they're outvoted by all the social democrats. And I looked, and Park and Lee both did get money from the AGLA PAC, so you can see that it matters and it influences their votes. So I would encourage everybody to give as much as you can within reason and the law, to the PACs, but also I have a petition. There's going to be a petition to get this voter ID, I guess, initiative on the ballot coming up.
So wait a minute, just let me put that in blunt terms. Basically, what you're saying is if we want to go to the polls and vote, we're going to have to show our identification to prove that we're American that's voting and that we're alive. Is that correct?
Well, at least that we're, the person who's on the voter roll.
Okay. We're the person that they think we are. The only reason I'm telling you this, you guys, is because for the past 7 years, my mother's been deceased, but she's voted every year.
I hope, yeah, but
I didn't do it.
you didn't do it, right? Okay.
No, I didn't do it.
That's,
Are you kidding me?
so I put a link
Look
with,
at an orange.
I put a link with Reform California, and so you can sign up to receive paperwork so you can gather signatures. If you can just get like 5 of your like-minded neighbors to sign and fill it out properly, it will go a long way to getting the initiative on the ballot.
Chris, can you put that in the chat?
It's in the chat.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Because if we don't, the legislature is never going to do it.
If we don't start standing up, we're going to get steamrolled.
They don't listen to us as it is right now. So the only way to change things and get California to be a little more rational is to do an end run around them. Unfortunately, we do have the initiative process where citizens can put stuff on the ballot. They still play dirty tricks in our state, and they'll misname initiatives and frame them improperly and do all kinds of shenanigans. But this is like kind of the only hope. So if you feel
it's a good way to try to get the attention of our lawmakers. How's that?
Well, it would, but if we should be aiming to pass it, we should be aiming to get it on the ballot and aiming to pass it. And when you look at public polling, the overwhelming majority of all people of all political parties support voter ID. Like, most people think it's common sense. In almost every other modern democracy in the world, you have to show ID to vote. Ask me how I know. Because I have voted in a foreign country's presidential election one time and absolutely had to have my passport. And they looked me up to make sure I was in there and
I
everything.
don't think it's a ridiculous request. Like I said, my mother unfortunately passed away 7 years ago, but she's been voting for years. I do believe she switched political parties after her death.
Well, you should probably, there's probably somewhere on the Secretary of State's office that something has to be filled out or sent in or something. So ask me about that later.
But my point is, if it's not just me, this is happening to, I'm sure. And I like the idea of having to show an ID to vote. That's not a bad idea.
Anyway, I just think we need a more balanced environment. It's just not balanced. It's all one-sided to people with certain ideas. And well, that's all I'm getting. As far as being landlords, it's very detrimental to our bottom lines, to our sanity. I mean, how many other people are thinking
It's
about
affecting our way to do business.
how many other people are thinking strongly about getting out of California in this chat, right? 1031ing out of state because
ESTs.
Look, here it comes. You asked the question, here it comes. A lot of people are looking into DSTs, 1031 tax exchanges to get out of the bureaucracy and the bullshit. It's insane. Yeah, here comes hands. I mean, you gotta picture that. And for those of us that are in the chat going, I'm not seeing this in my area. We're in San Bernardino, we're in Riverside. You have to understand, in LA, they have their hands held so tightly, they can't do business. They can't replace the water heater because they can't raise the rent because it's controlled. They can't even do business. It's not fair. It's the same thing that's happened in New York. And you heard about New York's BS now, right? That nobody can afford to live there because market value, vacancies, nobody wants to live there at what rents are. And the other people that do live there are the ones that are grandfathered in on rent control at $400 a month. Nobody wants to live in New York. Yep. LA is number 2 in the nation. New York is number 1. LA is number 2. I'm sorry. It's either LA or San Francisco.
And then you have ridiculousness like totally one-sided tenant harassment ordinance. What, like we can't get harassed? I get harassed. I'm getting harassed all the time. It should be both ways.
Harassed? We get requests for service.
No. I'm getting harassed.
I know you are. I'm being funny. We don't get harassed. We get requests for service. Man, how many of us have chased ghosts trying to make a tenant happy just to find out they didn't want to live there? Or they want to live there, they just want the house 100 years newer than when it was built.
It's also important that when those red alerts from AGLA come out, that you call and that you send emails and stuff, because it really does make a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. I mean, we're constantly winning milestones in LA County. And what the rest of us need to remember is LA spreads like cancer. Okay? They look at LA's rent control and how strict they're getting. And now they're trying to get more strict with our statewide rent control, right?
Yeah, next year we're only getting 3%.
We're all feeling it. We're all seeing it. But it's stemming out of metropolis areas. It's places like Los Angeles that sets the law, and then lawmakers look over the fence and go, oh, that's what they're doing over there. Let's do it over here. I mean, we now have rent control in Orange County, folks. And it's one of the worst rent controls I've seen. And when I say this out loud, I'm going to hear Chris go, what did you say? The municipality requires that all communication in writing with the tenant from inception to date becomes property of the municipality. In other words, you have to send all of your written communication between you and your tenant from whenever they moved in till now. What if they moved in 20 years ago. You gonna send the city 20 years worth of emails? Yes.
Oh, you absolutely should. Let them earn their freaking money and have to print it out and file it and do everything else.
Hey, I just don't like giving all of my evidence to somebody else. I guess
Yeah,
it's how
I
you
know.
look
I'm
at
just
it.
saying, there's another way to look at it too, like baffle them with bullshit and bury them with 10 boxes of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Widget's waste should go nationwide. Just saying. Why, thank you. I'll stick in the state though, okay? Let's stick in Southern California. It's too much for me to keep track of all the rules and regulations in Northern California, so I just stick with Southern California. They have their own bureaucracy and bullshit. Thank you, Julia. But
It's
with all due
probably-
respect,
It's hard enough keeping track of LA County and LA City. It's insane. Like, try
absolutely.
and find something out. Like I'm strategizing and seeing what I can and can't get away with and what the consequences are. And you just randomly find stuff on a website that doesn't, they're not giving flow charts, for example, which would make things easier.
Yeah.
So you're left to like piece together, well, okay, this is a JCO, it's AB 1482 exempt, but there's the state of emergency that limits you to 10%, which we're not
It's
sure.
almost like you need to build a flow chart for each scenario to put the pieces of the puzzle together. That's why I specifically asked you guys, give me the address first. What's municipality? In what city? What governs you? Don't just say, I have a single family home. How much can I raise the rent? Because you're not telling me where it is or if you're exempt from things. So it's not fair to my blonde brain. And that's why I ask you guys to give me so much detail. And you'll hear my Roadrunner girls go, San Bernardino County, single family home, exempt from the TPA. If you want good, solid answers out of your legal counsel, give them a good, solid question. Say,
But they
I
better know
have,
their stuff. They really better know their stuff and better than me, to be frank, because I just figured out today, I was looking at, how high can I raise the rent? Um, because based on a market evaluation, it's worth a lot more than it's getting. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And, I thought, okay, well, I looked at my numbers and it looks like 15% would be reasonable. And I did the analysis. It's JCO, it's not RSO, so RSO doesn't apply on that as long as you give enough notice. If it's more than 10%, you get 90 days under state law notice. Okay, fine. State of emergencies, does giving notice, is that the same as actually raising the rent? Because the rent doesn't actually commence until the new lease starts, right? So
correct.
you could certainly argue that it doesn't, that their state of emergency won't apply if it's like, say, next April or March, for instance, or something. But then I got shocked out of it because I was on the LA City housing and I saw a reference to relocation assistance if you raise the rent more than 10% and they supposedly can't afford it. So what I learned the hard way, I mean, that's the relocation assistance is big enough in LA City. If you're in LA City and you've ever had to contemplate it, you know what I'm talking about. But like it'd be prohibitively expensive. So the answer is, they're gonna get like probably a 9.99%. I'm gonna go right to the line because every year
Because if
when I
Chris
pop up-
raises it 15% and the tenant says they can't afford the rent increase, now Chris is susceptible to pay them the relocation fee because they raise the rent over 10%.
even though it's not rent stabilized.
Correct. But that is
Yeah.
what he is telling you. So
Yeah.
pay attention.
So it's just kind of like a minefield. And remember, I may not be a landlord tenant attorney, but I did go to law school and pass the California bar the first time. And do have the skills of a lawyer, and it's very complex and difficult to put together.
Yeah, it's like a landmine and you're blindfolded in some aspect because you think you're clear from this, but then you got to worry about that. And then this covers you and then that covers you. And then the tenant could just say, oh, I can't afford the rent increase because it's over 10%. Now give me the 23,000 in reloads.
Can he go back? Can Chris go back and say, okay, then we're going to do a 8%? I don't know, something else lower. Or is it a one and done, or can you go
I
back and
mean, you could always theoretically settle. It's just that, you know,
No, if you don't want them to
once
move
once
out,
they find out about their rights, and remember, we all had to serve them like the 2-pager,
right?
and in theory, according to the housing department, we're supposed to serve them the JCO registration statement, which
Yes.
I've never, I can't, I was just skimming the ordinance and I can't find that that's a requirement of notice. It just talks about like notice. It never says you have to serve it. It
I think
just
you,
talks
I
about
think you
notice
did, I
of the
think you did,
rights.
Chris. Because
What?
I think I think you had to, I had to give them like that certificate showing that I had paid it. I put it in with my lease when I did it.
Right. Well, mine was of course a little bit after we started a lease.
Uh-huh.
I put the 2-pager, like the housing rights under LA city law, whatever that
Right.
is
Yeah.
called. I put that, I have an addendum, I have them sign that they got it. I tape it to a door and take pictures of it. Um,
And you know that got updated in May.
yeah, I do, but
Okay.
since the lease hasn't been renewed and I haven't sent an actual notice for anything, I don't think I need to send it yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize because I didn't read the certificate and nobody mentioned it. They just talked about having to register it. They didn't realize you're supposed to serve. And then even worse,
I don't know. I just assumed since you had to with the RSO with the certificate.
right.
of
Well,
registration, I
your
figured you did.
instinct was probably was good, but it's just
Okay. Can I interrupt you guys just
Hmm.
for a second?
Mhm.
For everybody else, this is what I want you to hear of what's happening, okay? They have to register their unit with the city, each door, okay? So if you have a 15-unit apartment complex, you got to register all 15 units. Yep.
I don't think you do if it's RSO.
Okay, but just hang on because I'm trying to explain to other cities what's going on
Yeah,
here.
you do.
You do. If it's more than one unit, you pay more than one because I've seen RSO fees as high as $2,300
Yeah, you've got the step fees for each unit.
each unit per door. Okay,
But
so
it's not a separate it's a separate fee, but it's not a separate registration.
correct.
And it's one RSO
Yeah,
statement.
it's all on one registration, the number of units.
But what I'm saying is now this registration, along with the tenant's rights, that's 2 pages long, telling them how much their relocation fees are, how much a landlord has to pay them in relos if they're disabled. It gives them what their rights are. So you have to serve the tenant a copy of your registration showing that you're registered. You have to give them a copy of what all of their rights are, 2 pages of what their rights are as a tenant when you serve a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit.
And you have to have it posted on the property.
Okay, I just want San Bernardino County and Riverside County to hear what you guys are understanding of what you're dealing with in LA, because remember, people, it spreads like freaking cancer. Okay, pay attention to what
And
they're talking about. I know it doesn't.
I urge people to get their JCO certificate and read it. Read what it says, and you're not going to be happy about it if you haven't served it.
Yeah. But I mean, and these rules change when the wind blows. It's extremely frustrating for some of these municipalities. And just remember, folks, we're on the outskirts. We're in Riverside and San Bernardino County. We're in neighboring counties. So it's really easy for lawmakers to go, well, what they did in LA worked. Let's do that. So be cautious and careful about what's coming at us. Be diligent about listening to Chris and Agla and those red alerts. They're very important. And all of our voices matter. Okay. We all count. Okay. It matters. Trust me. But we're trying to get you guys more involved with stopping the bureaucracy and bullshit from taking place to begin with. Okay. That's why we're like, go red alert, go call this congressman, send an email, send a letter. We're trying to help facilitate that now so that we can all become the change, because what's happening is ludicrous.
And AGLA's doing their webinar once a month now at legislative updates, which is really helpful.
It is extremely helpful because if you just log on and listen to it, it tells you what the bills are about, what we're fighting. And in some of this stuff, even if you guys aren't in LA, okay, and you're in Riverside and you have AGLA, because remember, they cover San Bernardino County, LA County, and Ventura County. Listen to what they're talking about in some of these things, because Lawmakers look over fences. Lawmakers look over fences. I got an idea of where I think the next metropolis area is going to hit. Nobody's going to like it. Well, David will like it. David will like it. I honestly, if I had to guess where the next metropolis is coming in, it's going to be the IE, the Inland Empire.
Ontario.
It's gonna segregate about 40-mile diameter outside of Ontario Airport because it's international. That is my opinion of where the next thing is going to take place would be the Inland Empire. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. Have anybody driven up to Victorville area, gone to Vegas lately? Remember when you come up over the top of Home Pass, it's just open desert. And you're like, good God, we're in the desert now. And now when you go there, you see things being built up. Remember that about a mile after you get up over the top of the pass and you can see the desert, there was a couple of warehouses on the left-hand side of the freeway. Everybody remember that? Go up there now, and as soon as you get over the top of the hill, we now call that Warehouse Row. There's warehouse after warehouse after warehouse after warehouse after warehouse on the left-hand side of the freeway. If you build it, they will come. What I'm seeing now is more new apartment communities are going up. Huge apartment communities, 300-door apartment communities. Why? They need to house the employees that are going to run those warehouses. They still have all that vacant land out by the airport, the logistics airport up in the high desert, the vacant land. People are starting to swoop the land up in the desert area. Why? Because they just widened their freeway to 5 lanes going in each direction. What does that tell you? We pay attention to what's happening around us, it paints the picture for us going forward.
Yeah, I don't know how good of a long-term play that's going to be because I've heard Amazon is like half robots now in their warehouses.
Hey, I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, the warehouses are there, they're being occupied, and now I'm seeing apartment communities go up. Several of them. And all I can do is report to you what I see. So I will tell you this. In the event the market crashes, adjusts, whatever you want to call it, one might suggest buying property in the high desert because it looks like they're building quite the infrastructure. Do your
Yeah, but
research.
would you manage it for us? Because I ain't going out there.
I only manage property for profit if my name's on title. Sure, Chris.
How about we make you a
She's
limited
worth
partner?
it. She's worth it, Chris.
How about we make you a limited partner?
I can't practice real estate, you guys, and be honest with you. Just so everybody understands why Patti doesn't do sales. She doesn't do management. I don't do any of that. And the reason being is if you're a licensed sales agent or a real estate broker, they have laws regarding steering and block busting and things like that. One is in regards to lending. It's called redlining, okay? So there's all these crimes that they already have predetermined when you become an agent. They tell you don't do this or you could be guilty of block busting, where you go tell an area, hey, the sky is falling. Let me sell your property. I'll get you out of here. So if you pay attention, the sky is falling in LA County. Is Patti screaming that the sky is falling in LA County? Yeah, to an extent. But if I touch that real estate transaction, I'm now breaking the law. Oh, that's why Patti won't touch real estate. And in the event you do see that I do start touching real estate, it means I no longer need to tell you to get out of the city. You've figured it out. And I am now telling everybody the city's great. Everything's fine. Because if you pay attention, real estate agents aren't telling you about a bad area or don't buy here or don't do this. They can't. Got it? They can't. They can't tell you. You have to figure it out on your own. Okay? So that's why Patti doesn't do real estate sales transactions. I don't look good in orange. So yes, I'd be more than happy to manage it for you as long as my name's on title. All right, anybody have anything else? I don't want to keep everything tied up with all of this. I hope those of you that aren't affected by it found it interesting. Got you. Here we go. Here we go. Minefield in LA is the best analogy. I like that. It's a minefield and we're blindfolded, folks. Okay, Val, here we go. Here's the current issue. Tenant in Kern had a plumbing issue. This was the massive toilet paper problem. There were 2 plumbers involved, one with a camera for $250 and one that dug and did work $500. I told the tenant to pay them directly. She has not. I will pay them myself. So do I serve her a 3-day notice to pay me? She is a problem and a liar, so I want to do this correctly. You have 2 ways you can handle this off the top of my head. One goes under a small claims court case, and one goes under doing an eviction. So you tell me what you want to do, okay? In other words, you could serve her with a 3-day notice to cure or quit by paying the monetary damages that she agreed upon, whatever, and she has 3 days to pay you. If she doesn't pay you in 3 days, you could start eviction, or you could send her a demand letter demanding that she pay you within 30 days. If she doesn't pay you within 30 days, you could file small claims against her. So those are the 2 options that immediately came to my mindset, is either small claims or eviction. Which way do you want to go?
Patty, I have
Yes.
a question here. How about deduct it, from the security deposit?
She could take the money from the security deposit, but let me say this out loud. That's now $750 from the security deposit. If she only has a $1,200 security deposit, she has $500 left when they vacate. You see what I mean?
I see.
Also, if you're going to take it from the security deposit, I hope you took pictures of the damage and then after it was corrected, because starting yesterday, you needed to do that in order to deduct from the security deposit. Okay, remember that new law about deducting from the security deposit? You have to have before photos, the damage photos, and after photos, 3 sets of photos. I'd send her a demand letter demanding payment within 30 days. I'd send it certified mail. If she doesn't comply, I would then file a small claims against her. You're talking about $35 to file the small claims case. And then you have a money judgment against her. You could give it to a collection agent and have them garnish her wages until she pays you. Through a writ of execution, Val, you know what that is.
Yeah, but how much money do you think she really has in her bank account?
Probably not much. She's in Kern County, in the area where they do all the farming stuff. Like Bakersfield's type area. And if we're wrong, Val, you yell at us. She won't though. She's nice. I'll keep her. But in my opinion, those are your 2 options. Send them a 30-day demand letter or a 3-day cure or quit, depending on which angle you're going. And let's face it, nobody wants to do an eviction right now. The 3-day cure or quit might scare the crap out of her, though. This is the tenant that says her fiance does not live there. Yep, and she'll continue to say that her fiance doesn't live there until they are married. That's kind of how that goes. Because once they're married, they're a protected class. Remember, they are as one. Once they get married, you tell them congratulations and thank you. All create an amendment to the lease, adding your wife or your husband, whatever it is. Hang on, Val, I saw you. Can't I give her a 60-day to get the F out? Hang on, let me think about it. Single family residence, Val, and you serve them the exemption from the Tenant Protection Act, correct? Okay, just let me wrap my head around it, okay?
So I assume you're on a month-to-month?
If you're on a month to month and you served exemption, you can give her a 60-day to GTFO. Absolutely. Kick rocks with open-toed shoes. Hi, I'm looking for a recommendation for a collection company for my tenant who I'm evicting. I want to collect past due rent. They haven't paid for 8 months. Before you collect, you have to get a money judgment against them for that amount. If you have a money judgment against them for that amount, then you can contact a collection agency. Most of the apartment associations provide a collection agency as part of their services. I will tell you that 9 out of 10 of them are on a 50-50 split, meaning they send you 50% of any money they collect from the tenant and they keep 50%. I know for a fact, unfortunately, I know that fast evictions only charges 40% and you keep 60%. So you get a better split with them. They seem to have, and I used to work there is how I know all this. So just work with me, okay? So Fast Evict is on a 60-40 split. They have an average of an 85% success rate at the 5-year mark. Who? Because you can sign up with whoever you want to, but you can't get nothing out of nothing. Fast Evict will tell you this is uncollectible debt or this is collectible debt, and they'll tell you what they're going to do to go after it. So as nicely as I could say this, while you're interviewing collection agencies, please take the time to call Fast Evict and ask to speak to Kelly in collections. She knows her shit. Remember this, I have things that are in collections. Guess where they're sitting? And yes, I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid. I may only get $57 a month on one of my cases, but I'm getting paid.
That's awesome. I mean, I want to get something and I want it to kind of hurt. I mean, it's such BS what's going on. And yeah. Do evictions in California follow a tenant?
Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I'm afraid to hear the
You
answer.
have a piece of paper?
No.
Okay. 2017, the state of California, January 1st, 2017, passed something called the eviction masking law. And here's how it works. A tenant facing evictions, their record cannot be seen for the first 60 days of case filing. It doesn't show anywhere. And it's always been that way. Okay. Always been that way for decades. But after 60 days, you can see if they have an eviction going or not. Okay. That's how it's been for decades, eons. January 1st, 2017 says that if a landlord prevails within the first 60 days, the eviction stands. If the landlord hasn't prevailed within the first 60 days of case filing, then the record is sealed and no one will see it. Wait, what did I hear? If the tenant fights me and asks for a trial by jury so it goes over 60 days, their record's going to be sealed and nobody's going to know that they raked me over the coals and cost me $85,000? Exactly. The record is sealed. So when you go to court right now and the attorney says, "Oh, we're going to seal their record," and you're like, "I don't want to do that." You have to do it anyway. The only reason the attorney is adding it in there is for the tenant's benefit, so they get to hear it and think they're getting something. The reality is the law is going to seal the record anyway. Okay? So evictions haven't shown on credit reports since 2017. Wait a minute, Patty. But I just had tenants come through and they had evictions on their credit and they happened within the past 5 years. What does that tell me? Tells me that the landlord won within the first 60 days of filing the case. And I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you, but that's the tenant I want. I want the tenant that had an eviction on their credit report because it tells me that they got out in 60 days. Okay? With everything so litigious right now, I want that tenant that has the eviction on their credit because they moved out. They won within 60 days, not 6 months, 60 days. So I think as society, we need to revamp and look at how we're looking at evictions because all these rules have changed all around us for so long. If we don't start changing with them, we're going to stand on our own feet. Remember this. The person standing in front of you with no evictions on their credit report could be smoke and mirrors. They could have just screwed their owner out of $100,000, 12 months, blah, 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 blah. Paying attention? And you can't see it. But the guy that got out, you can see his eviction. Now do you understand why I'm telling you if it happened from 2017 till now, accept the eviction on their credit and know that that tenant is going to run scared as soon as they get served with a lawsuit? That's the tenant I want. So take that into consideration and think about it. I'm an AGLA member, so they have a collection recommendation. Absolutely. AGLA has a collection recommendation for everyone. Or I'm sorry, let me say that differently. AGLA has a vendor recommendation for everyone. I've tried to help them keep their vendor list up current. Okay. But I'm telling you, whoever you shop your collection with, please go interview Fast Evictions. You may be pleasantly surprised with their collection department. I utilize them. Why? Because I get more bang for my buck. There is no upfront fee, no upfront expense. And if Kelly tells you it's an uncollectible debt, listen to her. She knows what she's talking about. She's been doing this crap for 30 years. She knows when it's not collectible. It's a problem for me to do small claims in Bakersfield. I'm not driving up there to go to court unless you know of a firm that handles small claims completely with the service. Val, you do. I know law firms that will file your small claim. I know law firms will file a small claims court case for you, but you do need to go represent yourself in court. I also am aware, Val, that you have a property manager that has the capability of appearing for you in court and presenting your case to the judge. Right now, I can hear you going, yes, that's the answer. Yes. So it's not a problem for you.
Does that apply if she owns it in an LLC?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does that apply if she owns it in an LLC? Or yes, in small claims, but not in eviction?
Correct. Where it bites her is not the LLC, it's the corp in eviction. She can never represent herself as she's at a corporation. But she can always have a property manager representing her, whether she has an LLC or if she holds it as an individual or as a family trust or as a living trust. You can still hire a property manager to manage your investment property for you, and they can still appear in court on your behalf. You just have to have legal counsel if you are a corporation.
I thought it was an LLC too for some reason.
LLC kicks in on AB 1482. That's the only place I see that. Watch, Chris is going to go look it up right now and correct me. I get a married couple is protected class, but when applying, if one has an eviction and the other doesn't, do I still have to approve? No, not necessarily if you have no evictions on the credit. But remember what I just taught you about evictions. Where you got to treat them as one mostly has to do with the income. You can't discriminate against a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home husband for that matter, because they don't have a job. They do have a job. And the hours suck, the work sucks, vacation time sucks, and you don't get paid crap. Sorry. Household technician, being a mom, being a dad, it's a lot of freaking work. Julia's putting her laughing out loud because usually you can hear her kids in the background sometimes when she unmutes herself. She gets it. She knows. You get puked on, the hours suck, the days suck, the overtime sucks, you never get paid. It's crap. Okay? But you can't discriminate against that. That's a freaking job. That's a career, man. If this rotten tenant gets married and moves her creepy husband in, I must accept this. He is the bully that yelled and cursed at my plumber, a real winner. Absolutely. And then you can freaking serve notices, not that your guest is being a nuisance, but your freaking husband is. And we can't have this kind of behavior. And I'm going to ask you to move because you're affecting the right to quiet enjoyment and you are harassing my staff. I understand. I do have that in my criteria, no evictions, thank you. But you guys are starting to hear me on the no eviction thing, right? Please pay attention. I've been screaming this for about 5 years now, and I'm hoping at some point somebody starts listening to me. Evictions welcome, inquire within. I mean, bye, have a great 4th. Happy Independence Day. Please stay home. Be safe, stay home. Don't go to large crowds. Sorry. I know I sound like the news or the media or whatever. I just want everybody to have a safe Independence Day. And I know people got to go because we're over the hour. Sorry. Does anybody else have anything for me? Because now I feel like I'm just rambling and I don't want to do that to you guys if you have something you need to get out of me for today. Otherwise, this girl is going to go take advantage of the clouds here where I live and see if I can tolerate some of the heat and go get rid of some of my weeds. I got some weeds I need to get rid of. Nobody's got anything? All right. Chris sent us those links so that we can reach out to who we need to about the upcoming legislation and getting IDs to vote.
It's already in the chat.
Okay, I see that it's in the chat. We're good there. Of the owner approve an additional occupant in a property with 3 rooms, only 1 person residing, and the current tenant brought in a new person to live in. The owner wants the tenant to pay $20 additional every month. Rent increase was done in March. Unless
It's
they
actually $200. I'm sorry, I apologize. I was typing really fast.
it's okay. Is the property subject to AB 1482 or any type of rent control?
No, it is not.
Then they've already done a rent increase for this year. I'd be very cautious about doing another increase, even if you sign a new lease.
Okay, now the owner wants, since the current tenant is renting a room for this new person, the owner wants an additional roommate contract.
I understand. What city is it in?
Riverside.
Did you serve them that they're exempt from AB 1482?
Yes.
I'm just concerned that you're increasing the rent more than once in a 1-year period.
And more than what is allowed, which
You're
is
only
not.
allowed to raise the rent once every 12 months.
Okay, I will advise
So
them.
everything that you're telling me, I hear you, but once every 12 months on a rent increase, no more than that.
And in Riverside County, 9.6%, correct?
I'd have to go look up what the CPI is. I believe the Inland Empire area is taking a hit of 7.5 as the maximum.
Oh,
So you need to go look. I think it's 2.5 is the CPI for the Inland Empire.
okay, got it. It's because I called somebody and in fast eviction and told me 9.6% right now in Riverside County.
It could be 9.6%. That number comes out in July. I believe it changes on July 31st. Arlene would have told me that, and I believe she left already.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you,
But
Patty.
she could be in here, but we need to see when that dollar amount changes. It's not coming forward in my brain. I want to
Okay.
say it's June 30th or July 30th. I don't remember which one, but that's when it'll change to 7.5%.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you very
So
much,
just
Patty.
double check. I have a question, but I'll call you. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great 4th of July holiday. If you need anything, call me, let me know. And I will talk to all of you soon. Oh, I got to show you guys what happened to Blue because I know people are going to ask. Are you ready? Look at her. Hey, Blue, come here. Come here. Come here. Look what happened to my dog. Look what happened to my dog. Oh my God. Look what happened to my dog. Look at her. She fell in a vat of Rainbow Bright. Look at her. Oh, you poor baby. You poor baby. Look at you. All right, you guys, have a wonderful week. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.